Okay, this is our exam study guide. This is part 5. It's picking up at number 57. It says to simplify using the horizontal method. And that's a trinomial multiplying by a binomial. You can't FOIL it because FOIL is for binomial times binomial. All you got to do is make sure to multiply. Go to the one that has 2, or go to the one that has the fewer one. I think it's easier. And make sure to multiply 4n times everything in the parentheses. So 4n times 2n squared. 4 times 2 is 8. N squared times n to the first is n to the 2 plus 1, which is n to the third. 4n times 4n. 4 times 4 is 16. N to the 1 plus 1 is n squared. And 4n times 4 is plus 16n. You also got to do the same thing with negative 5. Negative 5 multiplied by 2n is negative 10n squared. Negative 5 times 4n is minus 20n, and negative 5 times 4 is minus 20. At this point, you got to combine everything that's a like term. 16n squared can be combined with negative 10n squared. 16 minus 10 is 6n squared. Your highest exponent term is 8n to the third, so we'll bring that one down. 8n to the third, it's positive, so plus 6n squared. The other ones that can be combined are your n to the first powers. 16n minus 20n is minus 4n. Then the last thing that's up there is the constant term. It's not going to be combined with anything, minus 20. That's the horizontal method. It'll tell you use horizontal method, and the next one will tell you use the vertical method. But it's not going to check your work as you do it. So if you feel more comfortable with one over the other, use that one. Like I feel way more comfortable doing this one than the vertical one, but I'll show you the vertical one in a second. This one says simplify using the vertical method. So what you have is 2k plus 3 times 2k squared minus 4k minus 3. And you're multiplying those two by each other. It's a vertical method because it's going from on top of each other. You want to multiply negative 3 times everything at the top. So negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Negative 3 times 2k is negative 6k. You want to combine or multiply negative 4k times everything at the top. Negative 4k times 3 is negative 12k. Notice we put the k to the first powers over each other. We stacked them. And negative 4k times 2k is negative 8k. Now it's k squared because it's k to the 1 plus 1. And the last one you want to do, 2k squared times everything at the top. 2k squared times 3 is 6k, positive 6k squared. And 2k squared times 2 is positive 4k to the third power. So now we have everything stacked on top of each other, and we add them up. There's only one constant up there, negative 9, so it just comes right down and becomes negative 9. You can combine negative 6k and negative 12k, and you get negative 18k. Otherwise, it comes down negative 18k. You can combine negative 8k squared and 6k squared, and you get negative 2k squared. And then bring down the other thing that doesn't have to combine with anything, 4k to the third. And this is the vertical method. Some people like this way better. It's neater. It's more organized for some people. 4k to the third minus 2k squared minus 18k minus 9. But again, use the method that you feel more comfortable with. And some of y'all are thinking, well, I don't feel comfortable with any of them. We'll pick the one that's the least uncomfortable then. 59 says find the square. So all you're doing, it's not 2x squared. It's 2x minus 6 times 2x minus 6. You take the whole binomial and you multiply it by itself. So then you FOIL it, F-O-I-L, first terms. 2x times 2x is 4x to the 1 plus 1, which is x squared. Your outer terms are next. 2x times negative 6 is minus 12x. Your inner terms are next. Negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x. And your last terms are at the end, negative 6 times negative 6, which is a positive 36. However, you can combine your two terms in the middle, negative 12x minus 12x. Negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24x. Bring down 4x squared and bring down positive 36. You went from squaring a binomial, it became a trinomial. Do the same thing with number 60. 8m plus 7 squared becomes 8m plus 7 times 8m plus 7. You FOIL it out again. 8m times 8m, first terms are first, 64m squared. Your outer terms are next. 8m times 7 is plus 56m. Your inner terms are next. 7 times 8m is plus 56m. Notice those are the same. And 7 times 7 is plus 49. So we got great big numbers. We're actually about to make bigger numbers when we combine 56m and 56m. You get 112m. That's positive. Bring everything else down. 64m squared and plus positive 49. And that is great big numbers, but it's a simplified trinomial. Okay, for number 61, it says find the product, FOIL. That's all you're doing. You have two binomials, FOIL it, F-O-I-L. Follow that as your method. First terms, j times j is j squared. Outer terms, j times negative 7 is negative 7j. Inner terms, 7 times j is plus 7j. And last term, 7 times 7 is minus 49. J squared, you can put negative 7j and positive 7j together and they cancel each other out and it just says j squared minus 49. You could have noticed that this is what's called a conjugate. Conjugate means that they both have j and they both have 7, but one says plus, one says minus. If you have a conjugate, you can save yourself some time and eliminate the outer and the inner terms and just multiply the first and the last terms. We'll do that with the next one. We'll just do first and we'll just do last because it's a conjugate as well. Notice they both have 2n and they both have the number 2, but one says plus and one says minus. It's called a conjugate. 2n times 2n is 4n squared. You do 2 times 2 and then you add the exponents n to the 1 plus 1. And the last terms, 2 times negative 2 is minus 4. Look how much faster that one was. 4n squared minus 4. When you notice it is a conjugate, you could save a bunch of time. Again, we have two sets of conjugates here as well. 4p, both of them have 4p and both of them have 6. One's plus, one's minus. So we'll just do first and last. 4p times 4p, 4 times 4 is 16. P to the 1 plus 1 is p squared. And your last terms, negative 6 times 6 is minus 36. 16p squared minus 36. We also have conjugates here as well. Don't be scared by the fact that it says m squared. They both say 4m squared and they both say 5. One says minus, one says plus. Do the first terms by each other. 4m squared times 4m squared. 4 times 4 is 16. Right here you have m to the 2 plus 2. So it just becomes 16m to the 4th. That's your first terms. Multiply your last terms as well. Negative 5 times 5 is minus 25. Conjugate, just do first, just do last. For number 65, and 66 tells you to fill in or complete this one with the missing value. We have a trinomial, y squared plus 15y plus 56. We want to make it into two binomials. Remember, to make it into two binomials, you just put two sets of parentheses, y times y, and then you have to factor out 56. 1 times 56, 2 times 28, 3 times nothing, 4 times goes into 4 times 14, 5 doesn't go into it, 6 doesn't, and 7 times 8. Those are your factors of 56. The only pair of factors of 56 that when you add them, the only pair of factors when you add them that get you to the number 15 is 7 and 8. So 7 and 8 are going to go in those numbers. Once you're there, your second term tells you that they're both of this. Your second sign tells you they're both the same, so it's going to be plus plus or minus minus. Your first one tells you they're both plus. But all you had to know for this one is the second number there. So 8 would fill that blank in. Another way you can look at it is you can just ask yourself, what do I have to multiply by 6 to get the number 90? What do I have to multiply by 6? 6 times 15 gives you the number 90. Just give yourself a shortcut, or you can factor it out the same way. When you see a problem like that, you can take a quick shortcut on it. We'll do factoring on the next one. Okay, we have to factor these. We don't have those nice pretty little blanks to fill in. So you open yourself two sets of parentheses. W times W gives you W squared. Your factors of 77 are 1 times 77. 2 times nothing because it's not an even number. 1 times 77, and an easy one to find, we should have found it a lot quicker, is 7 times 11. We know that gives us 77. And that's also when we add those two together, they give us the number 18, 7 and 11. So put in 7 and then put in 11. And then you need to get your signs correct. Remember, your second sign, the one in front of the C term, tells you they're either both plus plus or both minus minus, since it's positive. If it would have been negative, it would be different. They'd be opposite. The first term says since they're both the same, they're both positive. So we have W plus 7 times W plus 11. If you FOIL that back out, you'll get back to the same trinomial. Do the same thing with number 68. It's a little more forgiving because your factors of 9 are not that big. But D times D gives you D squared. Your factors of 9 are 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. 3 plus 3 is not going to give you 10, but 1 times 9 will. Or 1 plus 9, I should say. This term tells you they're both the same. This one says since they're both the same, they're both positive. D plus 1 times D plus 9. We'll skip number 69, everybody. This one, when it recalculated values, it made it look like something that I don't want you to be able to have to do, so forget about 69. Number 70 says x squared minus 10xy plus 4y squared. Same thing with 70. Forget about 69, forget about 70. 71 set up good for us, though. X squared minus x minus 42. X times x gives you x squared. And you have to factor out 42. We know 1 times 42. We know 2 times 21. We know 3 times 14. 5 doesn't go into it. We know 6 times 7 gives us 42. So we need the numbers that when we combine them, when we add them, they'll give us the number 1 because there's a 1 coefficient there. 6 and 7 are the only ones that fit that bill. So 6 and 7 fill those spots. This sign right here tells us that the signs are not the same. One's going to be plus and one's going to be minus. This one right here tells us that the larger sign is going to be negative. It always tells you the sign of the larger one. 7 is bigger than 6, so it becomes minus. 6 is plus. So x plus 6 times x minus 7.